The second theory I chose to do for my presentation was the social process theory, which is criminality is a function of people's interactions with various organizations, institutions, and processes in society. So yes, there are lots of interactions among organizations and people, but in the movie they are not positive interactions. I think ceasefire allows for positive reactions through communication, family, friends, peers. An example would be Mina was talking to a group of students, and when she was talking to them, she's like, say one of your friends gets in a fight and your friend gets beat up, and then you see these people, then what happens? And the first response from all these students were like, well, my friend fights, we fight. My friend fights, I fight. So it's kind of like this, battle, war zone, like, they got to prove a point, like we're better than them, or we got to beat them up to prove a point. And I felt like, ceasefire is a positive thing because it allows for, positive communication amongst, all the students, not just ones in particular. The four categories that the theory broke down to was family. So when family support is good, there's more likely you're more likely to succeed and less likely to become involved with what did it say? With crime. When family support is bad, it's the exact opposite. So the predictors of this is children who witness violence, parental drug, alcohol abuse, unchecked mental illness, physical, sexual abuse, and neglect. Strict discipline or lack of warmth. And in Capricia's situation, her mother was a drug user. In Amina's situation, she actually said that she had experienced sexual abuse. And the other violence interrupter, a man, I can't remember his name, but with that, I felt like he had also had his background or whatever the case, but I felt like in Amina and in his situation, Amina had her grandmother to lean on, and he also had his grandmother to lean on, which they were able to receive the love and the affection and the warmth, and Amina's grandmother wouldn't tolerate, what was perceived as okay in that particular urban area, so like doing crack or, selling drugs, having drug money was Amina's grandmother's thing. Amina's grandmother would not accept it. And I felt like even though they still fell to, criminal behavior and stuff, they were brought back because there was someone that did care. And in Capricia's situation, I don't know if that was the case because it felt like she kept trying to reach out to her mother and her mother was just not interested because she was still using. The second one was education. So if they drop out, then that leads to antisocial behavior and antisocial activity and then criminal behavior. If that needs to happen, they can earn a living, then that's, basically, if dropping out is what they need to do because they need the money in order to, in order to live, that's what they're going to do. So I don't think that education is really valued in that kind of situation. And coming to peers, so peer pressure. So the feeling that you are obligated to do something because you're afraid, or like the initiation into a gang, like you got to do this to become a part of our gang, or and there might also be that they just feel accepted. They don't have family, they don't have anyone to support them or to be there for them. So I feel like, maybe it's kind of like an acceptance type of thing. And throughout the movie, like I feel like the main example was like a lot of these younger kids. There was one part where Amina was like, who's the mother of this child right here? The mother wasn't even present. Everyone else around that were like the older gang members were like, oh, well, he's with us. And it's like, no, like he should be at home with his mother or doing homework or whatever. Like he shouldn't be out in the streets with you guys. Religion. So the movie didn't really show anything about religion, but I feel like there was one point where there was a funeral, and Amina said that there was already threats being made that they were going to shoot up the funeral home. So I feel like if you have the nerve And, you know, to go shoot up a funeral home, it shows how they would probably feel about churches and religion. So and nothing was really said about the churches there. So, you know, like the saying, monkey see, monkey do. So I feel like that's what it is. So jumping into social learning theory, I feel like crime can be learned. And throughout the movie, not that solely crime is just learned. Not that it's not that. But I feel like throughout the movie, they kept saying that they felt like someone had taught them this. Like it had came from somewhere. And most of the times I felt like it was from peers or their own parents, friends. You know, it started somewhere. And the neutralization, I feel like, fits perfectly, although it does say that, you know, it doesn't, because gangs in particular take pride in what they do, which I can understand that, but I do feel like there is a denial of responsibility, there is a denial of the victim, there is condemnation of condemners, like, okay, well, so what, they did it, I can do it, that's okay, because that's what we do. Or, and they appeal to higher loyalties. So whoever's the head of the gang, like that's who they're going to listen to. They don't care about what the cop says. They don't care about what their mom or dad says. That's what they believe in. Their morals and their values become different, I feel like, when it comes to that, where, you know, parental, that's where I'm going next. The social bond theory. So there's lack of parental guidance. Maybe they were involved, but they were doing what everyone else was doing. So having them there or having them not there wouldn't have made a difference, because they were negative stimuli, and they were putting negative influences into the child's life. And not only that, but their actions are basically telling their kids, like, this is okay, this is normal, this is what we do. When they don't have a strong sense of self, or they're insecure or have low self-esteem, that also becomes a problem, because it leads to feelings of, well, I feel like I don't have any friends, I feel like I'm alone, and then you become involved in something else to gain that kind of acceptance, or, like, you know, love. So breaking down into the attachment. So having the attachment with your parents or your grandparents. Commitment, stay in school, you know, build a future, look forward, have goals, belief, have faith, have morals, realize the needs of others. Not that you have to fulfill those needs, but that you realize that, you know, it's not just about you, that there's other people, you know, that have needs, and, you know, they're human just like you are. And involvement, you know, a lot throughout the movie I didn't really see, besides when one of the violence interrupters was with his wife and his daughter at a football game with the cheerleaders and stuff like that. I didn't really see none of these kids involved in anything, no kind of sports, no kind of, you know, anything. Maybe Jesse was, when, you know, he was an honor roll student, but I didn't really see none of these kids being involved in anything. So it was just kind of like, where is their time going when they're not at home, or when they are at home? I didn't really see that. Another thing to point out was the social labeling theory. So, example in the movie was little Mikey. He had done 3 years, came out, and realized how hard it was for him to get a job, because he was a felon. And it was obviously because of the labeling. Luckily, he got a job, but I mean, not everyone is that lucky. And his comment, I feel like, with him being labeled, I feel like a negative connotation to this would be like, his comment in the movie was something like, you know, it would be so much more easier to be getting money the easy way and hanging out with my friends and doing what I want to be doing. So I feel like with being labeled, like, it triggers that, because it's like, okay, well, you know what, I'm already known as this in society, so whatever, my life is over, I have no chance, I can't start over, like, this is what I am, this is what I'm always gonna be. But, you know, Mikey's took himself out of that. It was just like, yeah, that's what I could be doing, but I'm thankful right now because I have a job. And like I said, luckily he got a job, but not everyone is that lucky within the system. And a lot of the times, minorities, male youth, tend to get labeled more than others. The social labeling theory doesn't really recognize situations such as mental illnesses.